Hi, welcome to my channel guys. This is the second part of Marvel God of Blood. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and comment down below. The author's website will be in the description. Chapter 2, Blade Strikes. I should be careful if I die in the hands of Blade so inexplicably. Who is gonna cry for me? Bert thought to himself, and soon, he followed John and the others into the bar. It was very dark, with only a few light sources. Hundreds of vampires danced indulgently to the loud music, and at the same time they staged various unbearable scenes. It's disgusting. Bert didn't like the fun and was worried about Blade Fighter, so he found a quiet and safe corner. As for John and Ginny, they had already gone dancing, and Ginny even hooked up with two men. After a while, three men were brought into the bar by three beautiful beauties. The three men were completely unaware of the danger. They danced wildly with the three beauties and didn't even notice that the vampires around were drooling when they looked at them. Since vampires and humans reached an agreement, most vampires live on blood bags. And the blood of living people is often only enjoyed by pure-blooded gentlemen. Deacon Frost knows how to buy people's hearts, hold blood feasts, and get living people. But why haven't humans discovered it yet? And it's not so secretive. Bert was a little puzzled. Soon, accompanied by the sound of passionate music, all the showers above were turned on, and the spray inside was not water, but blood. What? The vampires roared excitedly, and while drinking blood, they wiped their bodies with blood. The three men who were covered in blood finally realized what was wrong at this time. Are these people crazy? Before the three men can do anything, the vampires surrounded them and even opened their mouths to show their fangs. Seeing that, the three screaming men were about to die tragically. At this moment, a sudden voice came from the entrance. There was a sudden burst of a gunshot. Everyone turned their heads and saw that several vampires were rapidly turning gray. At the entrance, stood a cool black guy wearing a black trench coat, a metal vest, black sunglasses, and a shotgun. The originally noisy bar suddenly quieted down, and after a while, someone shouted in surprise, "God, it's Blade." Blade, the Daywalker. The vampires were like frightened rabbits, screaming and fleeing in all directions. Yes, hundreds of vampires faced a cool black guy, and all these hundreds of vampires escaped. Blade grinned, his mouth full of white teeth. And then, he unceremoniously pulled the trigger of the shotgun, only to hear bang, and several vampires turned to ashes. Once an ordinary vampire is hit by silver bullets, the blood on the body will dissolve quickly, and then from the skin to flesh, from flesh to bone, the whole body is quickly annihilated to ashes. In a sense, it is quite environmentally friendly. Blade is here. Bert couldn't help but swallow his saliva and immediately fled from the side passage to the second floor. This shows his foresight. Compared with other vampires, he is not in danger. Blade's mother was bitten by Deacon Frost when she was pregnant, causing him to become half human and half vampire after birth. Later, he became a vampire hunter under the guidance of his teacher Whistler. The most vicious curse between vampires is, I wish you meet Blade. Blade Warrior has all the advantages of a vampire, but does not have the weakness of a vampire, and can even act in the sun. So he is also called the Daywalker. Naturally, there are security guards in this bar. When they heard the movement, they rushed out against the flow of people. One of the security guards shot Blade with a micro dash and shouted, "I am not afraid of you." Is this not afraid? Bert, who was hiding on the second floor to watch the battle, couldn't help but complain. Blade sideways dodged the security guard's bullet and then fired a shot at the security guard. With a bang, the security guard flew out backward and disappeared into ashes in the air. At this time, more and more security guards rushed out with guns. After Blade fired 2 shots and killed many security guards, he threw the shotgun without bullets at the security guards, and then slammed his feet into the security guards at an alarming speed. Immediately afterward, Blade pulled out the long silver sword behind him and waved it quickly, only to see the sword light flickering, and the security guards were cut into ashes by the silver sword one by one. This is not only because the speed of Blade is too fast, but also because the security guards will die if they are cut anywhere. The weakness of vampires is too obvious, as this an elite vampire. It's amazing. Bert was stunned. This is completely different from the movie. Although Blade can hit in the movie, it is only at the level of a normal person. After Image, it seems that I can't measure the strength of superheroes with movies in the future, otherwise I don't know how I'll die, Bert thought to himself. And at the same time, his eyes were a little hotter. He wanted to have such speed too. Who has never thought of possessing extraordinary strength? At this time, all the vampires had fled except those who were killed, and Blade was about to continue chasing and killing. A blond man with a beard and 3 fully armed security guards arrived late, and when he saw Blade, he yelled, "Blade, it's you again, Quinn. This time, you can't escape," Blade said coldly. Quinn didn't talk nonsense. He directly raised his gun to shoot at Blade, and shouted at the same time, "Kill him." The three fully armed security guards immediately raised their assault rifles and fired at Blade. They were more professional than the previous security guards. At least, if Blade didn't move, their bullets could hit Blade. Of course, Blade couldn't stay still. He turned around and hid behind the pillar, then turned out from the other side, and slammed it hard. A silver double-headed spiral flying knife spun out at extreme speed, leaving a wound on each of the three security guards' arms, and flew back to his hand, but to Blade's surprise, the three security guards did not turn into ashes but turned their guns to shoot at Blade. If he hadn't hidden quickly, he would have been shot. "Ha, familiars," Blade scolded. Familiars are human beings that have devoted themselves to the vampire nation and pledged themselves to a house or specific vampire leader, Quinn laughed loudly, and shouted, "Blade, how arrogant you are this time." Blade smiled disdainfully, took a flash bomb from his waist, and threw it out. The light flashed. The three guards were better, their eyes hurt, but Quinn screamed, although there was no ultraviolet light in the flash bomb. The vampire, they are all afraid of the light. It was not only Quinn who was injured. Bert's eyes were also severely hit, tears streaming down his face. At the same time as the flashbang was lit, Blade quickly rushed out from behind the pillar. Blade flashed, and a security guard's arm fell off, blood flowing. The other two security guards heard the sound and immediately turned their guns, but it was still too late. Blade swiped with a backhand from the necks of the two security guards. The two security guards covered their necks with their hands, but they could not stop the blood from escaping without money, "Quinn, it's your turn." Blade flicked the blood on the knife and said coolly to Quinn. Quinn threw the gun at Blade, then turned and fled back. Blade immediately chased after Quinn. Both of them were extremely fast, just like driving at acceleration. Bert on the second floor endured the pain in his eyes and followed. In a hall, Quinn was caught up by Blade, and the two fought. Although Quinn was also an elite vampire, he was not the opponent of Blade, and he was hit a few times soon. However, he was an elite vampire and would not immediately turn into ashes, but the wound is relatively large. Seizing a chance, Blade drenched a tube of red potion on Quinn. He didn't know what material this potion was. As soon as he poured it on, flames burst out of Quinn's body, and in the blink of an eye, he changed. He became a burning man, screaming and rolling on the ground in pain. Blade held the silver knife indifferently, intending to cut off his head after Quinn fell into a coma. Even an elite vampire would still die if his head was cut off by a silver weapon. "Do not move." Just at this moment, a few policemen suddenly rushed in and pointed their guns at Blade. Blade scolded, turned around, and ran away reluctantly. He was ruthless in killing vampires, but he would never kill innocent people indiscriminately. Several policemen chased them out immediately, and at this time, Quinn had been burned into a coma, and Bert couldn't help but be overjoyed. The reason why he followed was to wait for this time. Just when Bert wanted to act, Jenny's terrified voice suddenly came from behind. "Bert, what are you doing here?" Bert was startled and turned his head in a hurry. When he saw Jenny and John walking over with a look of panic, he was speechless. So many vampires died just now, but these two didn't die. Is there any reason? Perhaps to give me a chance to take revenge? Bert's eyes flashed and he whispered to the two of them. "Our chance has come." Quinn was burned to a charred corpse. Quinn was burned to a charred corpse. What does it have to do with us? John was puzzled and said, "Let's go quickly. God knows if Blade will come back." Jenny also said, "Yeah, hurry up. By the way, Bert, you have to compensate us. If we hadn't brought you here, we wouldn't have to be afraid of this. You still want money at a time like this." Bert was speechless because the two people had low IQs, so he explained in detail. "Quinn is like this now. The police will send him to the hospital, and with the ruthless character of Blade, he will hunt him down to the hospital. Quinn is afraid that he will be doomed. We secretly help Quinn hide, and when Quinn recovers, we can follow him to see Boss Deacon, and then we can do whatever we want." John and Jenny's breathing immediately became rapid. It was their dream to join Deacon Frost's team. They didn't think about anything else, and nodded again and again. "Yes, we have to save Boss Quinn." Bert rolled his eyes secretly. It seemed that other words could be omitted. He said directly, "Then let's get started. This job is difficult or not, and it is not easy. The reason why it is not difficult is that the police don't know the existence of vampires, and they think that Quinn has been burned to death, so they don't care too much about such a corpse. It is difficult because this work has to be done inside, not outside, which will attract the attention of Blade, and Blade must be monitoring us now. This is also the reason why Bert wants to exchange the corpse instead of stealing it. After stealing the body, Blade will find out that something is wrong. At that time, Bert may have a date with Blade. Under Bert's command, John rushed in front of the police to find a man who had been tricked into being a blood bag before. After Blade came in, he hid in the toilet in fright, and kept shaking there, not daring to come out at all. John found him quickly, because Bert specially explained to John to not kill him, and just knock him unconscious. As for why he didn't let him kill, John didn't ask any more questions. He was completely on top now, and he just wanted to contribute to joining Deacon Frost's command. Then, Bert sent Jenny to run over in front of the two policemen who were carrying Quinn while pretending to be terrified. Jenny was covered in blood, so the two policemen naturally wanted to chase after her to check what happened. As for Quinn's body, of course, they threw it away. The corpse won't run away, but it will be replaced. Bert asked John to exchange Quinn's charred corpse with the unlucky man. The two exchanged the corpse as quickly as possible, put it in a bag, and then sneaked to the underground garage with the corpse. It didn't take long for Jenny to get rid of the two policemen and come back, which would not cause any trouble. Because many vampires had escaped before in this building, after finishing everything, the three of them drove away quietly. Because there are many exits in this place, they were not found by the police. The three of them were very excited because the good days are coming soon. Bert, you are really smart. Jenny excitedly went to hug Prince Bert but was avoided by Bert. He was not interested in this kind of stuff, and they were no longer worth using. The debt should be repaid. Bert, don't care about money, but his money is not so easy to get, in an abandoned building in Hell's Kitchen. John put down Quinn's body and turned to Bert. Bert, go outside to catch the wind and see if anyone will approach. Bert was a little speechless, and he had no brains elsewhere. How could he be so good at bullying people? This is obviously because they don't want to share the credit with him, and then sit on an equal footing. All right. Bert pretended to be dissatisfied but helpless and agreed. Then, while he put his hand into the pocket at his waist and held the flying knife, he whispered forward, "By the way, I have something to say." John didn't notice anything wrong and asked casually, "What's the matter?" "The thing is, it's time for you to hit the road." Bert suddenly took out the silver knife and stabbed it forward, and it stabbed into John's waist very smoothly. John looked at Bert in disbelief. Before he could say anything, his body quickly turned into ashes starting from the waist. "What?" Jenny screamed in shock. Bert threw the silver knife with his backhand, and the knife spun into Jenny's chest. Easy. In other words, vampires are so weak. Why should humans agree with them? Bert nodded with satisfaction, the only excitement in his heart. No other negative emotions at all. Just a vampire, not a human at all. After dealing with the two of them and retrieving the silver knife, Bert focused his attention on Quinn, who was on the ground, looking a little embarrassed. Fun fact. Born Eric Brooks in a London brothel in Soho's famous red light district in 1929, Blade of the comic books is a far cry from Wesley Snipes' modern half-vamp half-human hybrid. When Eric's mother had troubles during his birth, a doctor was called. But that doctor just happened to be Deacon Frost, an evil vampire who feasted on Blade's mother and killed her. Through some kind of classic comics symbiotic in utero transference, Blade received his vampiric powers. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe and comment down below if you would like a part 2.